There are things we carry that no doctor can find, whispers that live inside our blood, memories that do not belong to this lifetime, yet shape every heartbeat of it. Science calls it epigenetic inheritance. Mystics call it karma. But beneath both words lies a single truth. Nothing ever really dies. Inside every cell, curled like ancient scrolls, is DNA, a 3 billion-letter poem written in light. For decades, scientists believed it only dictated our bodies, height, eye color, the mechanics of being alive. But now they're learning it also remembers. Studies on descendants of Holocaust. Survivors show chemical tags on their genes, silent switches that mark fear, starvation, grief. Those same patterns appear in their children and grandchildren, as if trauma itself was handwriting passed down through generations. Ancient healers already knew. The Egyptians spoke of the Ka, the living double that survives death. The Celts called it Anamkara, the soul friend who walks beside you from one life to the next. In every language, one idea endures. Memory does not end with the body. Modern physics agrees. Energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. If emotion is energy, then every joy and every wound must still exist, vibrating somewhere in the field. Dr. Fritz Albert Popp discovered that human DNA emits photons, tiny packets of light. Your cells literally glow. And when you feel love, fear, or pain, that light flickers in measurable ways. The body becomes a living lantern recording experience in frequency, not words. Quantum experiments show that particles can be entangled across time. A change here echoes there. Perhaps the same is true for souls. Perhaps your present heartbeat still hums in harmony with ancestors long gone, and with versions of yourself not yet born. The ancestral thread. Close your eyes. Picture a loom made of starlight. Each thread is a life, yours, your mother's, your grandmother's, woven into one tapestry. When you tug on one thread through healing, the vibration ripples through them all. That's why when you cry for something you can't explain, or fear a thing you've never faced, it may not be yours alone. You may be feeling an echo, the unhealed memory of someone who came before. In traditional Chinese medicine, the organs are libraries. The liver holds anger, the lungs hold grief, the spleen holds worry. When an ancestor's emotion was never released, it can echo as pain in a descendant's body centuries later. But the reverse is also true. When you release it, the echo calms. You rewrite not only your story, but theirs. Where science meets spirit. Western labs now confirm what temples whispered for millennia. Epigenetics shows trauma alters which genes are switched on or off. Chemical bookmarks left by experience. Meditation, forgiveness, and even gratitude can reverse those marks. Researchers at Harvard found that 8 weeks of mindful breathing changed gene expression linked to inflammation and stress. A monk in prayer and a scientist in a lab are speaking the same language, frequency. Ancestors sang to heal, monks chant, shamans drum. Different tools, same purpose, to shake loose stuck vibration until the field remembers harmony, the memory beneath the skin. I want you to imagine walking through an old house. Every room has a feeling, some heavy, some light. That is what your body is, a house of memories. You can repaint the walls and change the furniture, but until you open the locked rooms, the ones holding forgotten grief, shame or fear, the air cannot breathe. That's what healing truly is. Not becoming something new, but remembering what you were before the forgetting began. When you breathe into the places that hurt, you are sending light back into the ancestral corridors. You are whispering, it's over now. We are safe. The experiments that hint at forever. There are children who recall past lives with precise detail verified by historians. Neuroscientists can't explain it. But maybe memory doesn't live in neurons at all. Maybe it lives in the field around them. In laboratories, DNA is exposed to intention. Even words of love or hate coils differently. Masaru Emoto's water experiments showed crystals forming beauty or chaos, depending on emotion. Your body is mostly water. Your thoughts sculpt its geometry every day. So when you speak kindly to yourself, you are literally rearranging light. Every person has felt it. A song you've never heard that moves you to tears. A place that feels like home, though your feet have never touched it. That is resonance, the soul remembering itself through frequency. We call it déjà vu, intuition, or coincidence. But it is the ancient language whispering, you've been here before. The question is not, have we lived before? The question is, What will we do with what our souls already know? The awakening of remembering. Something begins to stir when you hear these truths. It's subtle, like a low hum in the chest or a tear that rises for no clear reason. That's your soul recognizing its own reflection. We live in an age that worships data but forgets wisdom. Our ancestors didn't have microscopes, yet they mapped the stars, knew the medicines of the earth, and understood the invisible threads between body and spirit. We call them primitive, but maybe they were simply present. The awakening of remembering is the moment you stop searching outside and start listening within. Because within you is every ancestor who ever lived. The singers, the warriors, the healers, the broken and the brave. They are not gone. They are your chorus. And they are waiting for one thing, for you to sing your note back into the song. The healer's mirror. Every time you choose forgiveness, you untie an old knot. Every act of self-love sends a ripple through time. A woman healing her mother wound may also be freeing a grandmother who cried in silence decades before. A man finding his voice may be giving speech to an ancestor who died unheard. That is the mirror of the healer. Each of us is both the wound and the medicine. In the language of energy, healing isn't about erasing pain. It's about transmuting it, turning dense vibration into light, like alchemists turning lead to gold. Trauma stored in the body is like frozen water. When you bring warmth, breath, compassion, truth, it begins to thaw. Memories rise to the surface, not to punish you, but to be released. This is why sometimes, when you begin to heal, things get worse before they get better. Because ice cracking sounds like breaking, but it's really freedom. The science of recreation. Researchers now speak of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself. But it's not just neurons. Your field is plastic too. Each new thought, each act of gratitude, each breath of stillness, literally changes your electromagnetic signature. Heart math. Scientists discovered that your heart emits the most powerful field in the body, thousands of times stronger than the brain. When you feel love, that field becomes coherent, ordered, luminous, and coherence heals. Meditators have shown increased telomerase activity, slowing cellular aging. DNA exposed to compassion and intention begins to uncoil and repair. This is not mysticism. It is physics. Love is the most advanced technology on Earth. The song of the earth. Everything alive vibrates, and all vibration seeks harmony. That's why when one tuning fork rings, another nearby begins to hum. The same happens with people. When a human remembers their light, they become a tuning fork for others, silently recalibrating rooms, relationships, even entire bloodlines. Indigenous wisdom keeps this truth alive. They say the earth sings and illness comes when we fall out of rhythm with her. That's why the ancients danced, chanted, drummed. Movement and sound returned them to balance. We are being called back to that rhythm now. The storm of the modern world has made us forget the pulse beneath our feet. But if you stand barefoot on soil, breathe, and listen, you'll hear it again. The same heartbeat that was there before the first city, before the first word. The remembering practice. So how do we remember? 1. Breathe. Not shallowly, not half alive, but deep into the belly, as if greeting an old friend. Each breath is a bridge between worlds, carrying life force older than the sun. 2. Listen. Notice which memories, sounds, or dreams repeat. Patterns are messages. The same lesson will echo until you acknowledge it. 3. Speak kindly. Language is vibration. It programs the water within you. Choose words that build, not bruise. Say them aloud. Your cells are listening. 4. Create ritual. Light a candle for those who came before. Write their names. Thank them for surviving so you could become. 5. Feel everything. Don't numb the ache. It's evidence of your aliveness. Tears are sacred chemistry. Salt water releasing energy. Each of these acts rewires the field, melts ancestral ice, and brightens the human grid. The modern pilgrimage. Healing is not linear. It's circular, like seasons. There will be winters of stillness, springs of growth, summers of joy, and autumns of release. You are the forest and the fire, the seed and the soil. We've been taught to chase progress in straight lines, but the soul moves in spirals. Every return to an old pain at a higher level of understanding is not failure. It's mastery. You don't have to remember every past life to heal them. You only have to live this one with awareness. Because consciousness ripples outward. When you live differently, the timeline reorganizes itself around your choice. That's the real time travel. Not machines, but the human heart choosing light over shadow again and again. The proof of light? In 1997, scientists separated human DNA samples and placed them in different rooms. When they exposed one sample to emotion, fear, love, joy, the distant sample mirrored the same reactions instantly. No delay, no connection, as if the field itself was one living organism. If DNA remembers across space, why not across time? The mystics smile. They've always said this. Every prayer, every act of love, sends light backwards and forwards through your lineage. That's why miracles seem to rewrite the past, because energetically, they do. The grand reclamation. This is what it means to awaken now. To remember that you are not a victim of your story. You are its author. To recognize that within your bloodline lie the codes of both suffering and salvation. And you get to choose which one you feed. When you forgive what came before, you aren't excusing it. You're closing the circuit. You're saying, this energy ends with me. And when enough souls do that, the frequency of Earth itself begins to shift. War slows. Fear quiets. Children are born lighter. The entire species starts to hum in a new octave. The final transmission. Listen closely. Somewhere deep in your chest, beneath the noise of thought, there's a vibration older than language. It is the echo of every life you've ever lived, every ancestor who ever loved, every star that ever burned to make you possible. It whispers, you are the memory of the universe learning to love itself again. That's why you're here, not to escape the past, but to redeem it. Not to fear death, but to understand that nothing born of light can ever be lost. So stand tall, luminous one. You are the latest note in a song billions of years long. Sing it with grace. Let the echoes of the ancients resound through you until all that remains is truth. Leave a comment if you felt this remembering, and subscribe to Valkyrie, where we don't just find the light. We become the light.